I was thrust into an environment. Remember, I said I was watching the prostitutes. And so my concept of female was warped because I saw grown women would dress up. I've watched them get dressed. I've watched them, prepare themselves. I've watched a lot of, I had seen a lot of nudity. And so my concept of women was warped.
This is my dream.
When I was in elementary school, it legally is molestation, but young men being involved. I was 10 years old, and she was a senior in high school, and so the process of being exposed, that was actually my first sexual experience. We were doing a lot of petting and things of that nature, and then she exposed herself and had me do some stuff with her, and it was different. It was different, and I hadn't even hit puberty at that point, and it was scary for me, and I kind of ran from that experience. Today, and then I actually told a couple friends during that period about it, and I bragged about, getting to do that to the older girl and blah, 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 blah. And so I bragged about it, but really it was disgusting and it was scary and it was nasty. I never lost sight of I don't believe I never lost sight of who I was in God. I couldn't hear his voice as clearly. So everything that I was attracted to at that age was older. And so I really didn't actually get involved. I lost my virginity when I was 16, which everybody around was having sex. But there was a lot of sexual events. There was a lot of petting. There was a lot of kissing. There was a lot of, that going on. And there was always women, and I was cute, and that was, and so everybody wanted to kiss and touch. So there was no pursuit of that because it was a part of my environment. Because I've watched your podcast, and I know that it gets raw, and there's a lot of different things that go on. But in this environment, I want to be, I'm keeping it real. But I also want I can't even really explain to you in how the environment of sexual perversion. I've seen a lady when I was 8 years old. I've watched a woman bare her vagina, put a mirror down, because at that time they were trying to hide where they were shooting the drugs. And instead of shooting them in her leg, in between her toes or in the web of her finger, she shot some dope in her vagina. I couldn't hear his voice as clearly. But there's some different things that when I prayed with you, that I see. I just, you're like a brilliant light, and the light that you cast spiritually, it also attracts the adversary. So by the time it got to the normal age where boys seek girls and start looking for girls, there was like friends that were just there, and so I never really had to deal with that process. And that's why today I also have a master's degree in psychology. So when I look back, I see a lot of that differently. My life map, my love map, there was a lot of warping that went on as a result of the environment. And I'm 9 years old. So that level of exposure, when I talk about with the prostitutes, I'm talking about watching the gay men dress up as women and go down on a stroll and sell themselves, and then come back and talk about, performing oral sex and all of the crazy things that the tricks and the johns that they had to go through to get them $10 and $15, $20, so that's the level that I'm talking about being exposed to at 10, 11 years old. And then by the time I got 16, and when I say I lost my virginity, in all of that, there was this young lady that I was in love with, and I had not consented to sex outside of the process with the young lady when I was 11. But this young lady that I'm telling you, I was in love with her, and I waited on her. And at my 16th birthday party, we consummated sex, and that was the first time I actually had an orgasm inside of a woman. You know, and some of that depression that that battle with off and on.
All the time,
Yeah,
man.
that thing will it bombards you because it doesn't want you to know that, you know, the brilliance that God is doing in your head.
I know for a long time, I didn't want to dream no more, because I dream every night.